I'm aware that some people are not a big fan of this movie, and if you are one of those people, I get it. A lot like Superman, I don't agree with you, but I get it. This is a movie that returns to the simpler, lighthearted, adventurous fare of Studio Ghibli, after having a bunch of serious epics, with the exceptions of, obviously, Whisper of the Heart and My Neighbors the Yamadas. So, I can get how, if you're coming off the high of Spirited Away, if you are one of the people that absolutely loved that movie and weren't like me and just kind of let down by it, then I can understand why this movie may be a letdown for you. But for me, it's the reverse. I was hugely let down by Spirited Away, but legit loved this movie. Not only because it's a spin-off of Whisper of the Heart, even though that did get my foot in the door. No, it's also because it's just a really fun, sweet, heartwarming adventure film. And a really, really good one at that. I love this just as much as I love Whisper of the Heart, but for different reasons. Let's talk about it. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station, which is for animation, including TV and movies, and especially anime. I'm your host, Jasmine Small, your local anime fanatic. Welcome back to Ghibli Month. Welcome to my review of the barely connecting, very loose spin-off of Whisper of the Heart, known as The Cat Returns. It's a really good spin-off, man. Just like I said when I reviewed My Hero Academia Vigilantes very recently. It is a spin-off, so there's obviously going to be a little bit of caution going in. But a lot like Vigilantes, this is an example of a really good spin-off, because it barely connects to Whisper at all outside of its characters. It is very, very different in tone, and it's just plain fun, and it's able to tell its own story without having the baggage of its previous installments. So, yeah, I really love this one, and while I don't agree, I get the people that don't like it. So, I don't really know what else to say here. Let's just dive right in. Here is my written review for The Cat Returns. I hope you enjoy. Here we go. And I'm going to tell you all about why it's the cat's meow. Yeah, prepare yourself for a lot of cat puns in this review. Sorry. After how much I loved Whisper of the Heart, I was really excited to learn that it had a spin-off movie. And even better, that it would feature more from one of my favorite Ghibli characters, the Baron, voiced once again by the wonderful Cary Ellis. I loved him in Whisper, and the one scene that we got of him where he and the main character of Whisper are going through this interesting adventure within her head. It was a really cool scene, one of my favorites in the movie. And here we pretty much get more of that. And it's just as great as it sounds, even though it's a little less abstract. Granted, I've heard during research that this is a return to the much more lighthearted, simple fare, rather than Ghibli's past few movies, which have been dark, serious epics in one way or another, especially Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke. But after how much I loved Totoro and Kiki, I was more than willing to give it a chance. Sure, I had my problems with Kiki, but I still thought it was a really good, entertaining movie. And I'm happy to say that this is pretty much the exact same case. It was a lot of fun to watch. I love this movie. Here is the basic plot synopsis. After a 17-year-old girl named Haru, voiced by Anne Hathaway, the exact one you're thinking of, saves a cat from being hit by a truck, she finds herself being continuously given undesired gifts by the Cat King, voiced by none other than Tim freaking Curry. Whenever Tim Curry voices a villain, it's always a great movie. As the cat she saved turned out to be his son, Prince Loon, voiced by Andrew Bevis. And even worse, she's now forcibly engaged to him as a result. With the help of a mysterious voice, voiced by Judy Greer, she discovers the Cat Bureau, this mystical world that ties into that mystical world, kind of, sort of, from Whisper of the Heart. Like I said, connection's very loose. And comes face to face with the Baron, voiced again by Ellis. But after she's kidnapped by the King's followers into their world and begins slowly transforming into a cat herself, It's up to Baron and his allies, the fat cat Muda, voiced by Peter Boyle, and a talking crony Toto, voiced by Elliot Gould, to help her find her way back home. Story is a great return to the simple fun adventure of Ghibli's first few films. Like, don't get me wrong, I love serious, super adult, dark epics when they're done right. You know how much I adored Princess Mononoke if you saw that review. But those first few movies, with the exception of Grave of the Fireflies, I really liked because they were simple, lighthearted fare. Especially one of my favorites from this marathon I've reviewed so far, outside of Mononoke Fireflies, is Castle in the Sky. And I legit love that movie to the point that it's now one of my favorite adventure films. This is not quite as great as Castle, but it gets really damn close. Voice acting is really good, especially Ellis, who is as suave as ever as Baron. Baron's one of my favorite characters in Ghibli right now, because not only because of Cary Ellis' voice, I mean, he just has a really damn cool voice, but also because of his suave demeanor, his elegant personality, but also having just that right amount of snarkiness. Like, whenever he hears one of his allies just bickering with one another, he's just like, fine, I'm gonna go do this thing. You just continue to be children over there. It's funny. It's legit funny, and Cary is just as great here as he was in Whisper of the Heart. Yeah, love that they brought the Baron back. He's so freaking cool. And Hathaway, who is simply delightful as Haru. I honestly had no clue what even was Hathaway until I did the research afterwards, and she's wonderful as Haru, not only because she's pretty much unrecognizable, but also because this character, she's so sweet, she's so simple, but she's very obviously flawed, specifically not having much confidence in herself. But as the movie progresses, you see her slowly becoming a stronger, more independent character, and Anne's voice performance does a great job reflecting that as the movie continues forward. So, seriously, amazing job at Anne Hathaway. This is one of her best roles. The tone is lighthearted and adventurous, the pacing is fast, the animation is lovely and matches Whisper's style nicely. Yes, it is a little bit lower budget than Whisper was, but it's not to the point of being jarring or ruining the experience. It's still really, really good animation. Music is fantastic, helping with the adventurous feel. I love this movie's music. It's so wonderful. It really is. Rewatchability is high. I can see myself rewatching this any day, whether I'm rewatching Whisper first or not. The humor's pretty funny. This is another one of Ghibli's funniest movies. I said it when I reviewed Yamada's, and I'm going to say it here. Because the comedy, the dialogue, the timing, and something about the writing, every single joke landed for me. Like, you think, Haru continuously calling, what was his name again? Muda fat over and over would get tiring, but somehow they keep finding ways to make it even funnier, especially when even Baron and Toto get in on it too. I was legit laughing a grand majority of this movie. The messages about believing in yourself and enjoying life's little moments are genuinely sweet. I love this movie's messages, and they are delivered so perfectly elegantly. You know how I said Spirited Away had the problem of coming off as preachy, despite having good intentions? This one, it's a lot like a return, again, to some of those older Ghibli movies, where they did a great job at delivering a very powerful message that sticks with you, but it's not preachy and they're not bashing it into your skull forcibly. That's what makes this movie great. One of the many things that makes this movie great. And the final act is a ton of fun. That entire finale with the Baron trying to save Haru, it is so much fun. It is exactly what you want from an adventure film. And the ending is really sweet too. Honestly, my problems with this one are as minor as it gets and doesn't even scratch the surface of this movie's enjoyability. I told you, prepare for cat puns. Character dialogue is hit or miss. Every now and then there's a bit of a really, really weird line that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's very rare. The Cat King himself is a bland villain, unfortunately. I love Tim Curry, and he does an amazing job voicing this character because, I mean, he's Tim freaking Curry. He makes anything and everything sound cool. But when you look at Cat King as a character, he is very bland. He is one of those villains that you have seen before a dozen times in a dozen other animated movies. Again, the same problem I had with Mark Hamill's character from Castle in the Sky. It's just very, very bland and generic. The beginning 15 minutes are a little slow. It does start off a little slow, but trust me when I say it is worth continuously sticking through it. And it is way too short at only 71 minutes, making it so brisk that it feels like it ends right when it starts the plot. Yeah, I was shocked to learn that this may or may not be the shortest movie in Ghibli's entire catalog, because most of Ghibli's movies are at least over 90 minutes. At least. Sometimes they go up to 2 hours, in some cases. But for some reason with this one in particular, it barely even counts as a feature film because it's only 71 minutes. That's barely over 60. And that's taking out the credits. And even when you put credits back in, it's still only like an hour and 14 minutes. One of the shortest animated movies that I have seen in a while. And honestly, where I did complain with some other movies like Yamada's and Spirited Away that it is way too long, this one I think has the problem of being too short because it does such a great job at being such a fun adventure film that I wanted to see more. I wanted it to be just a little bit longer. Not to mention, by the time they get to the actual cat world, it's already 40 minutes into the movie. Now, they don't rush or anything, but at the same time, it's like, come on, you couldn't have made this at least an hour and a half, give a little bit more time, and let us get to this cat world a little quicker, and maybe have Haru explore this world of cats a little bit before what happens later. Just saying, little nitpicks. Just nitpicks in all honesty. I truly, really loved this one, just as much as Whisper of the Heart, but for different reasons. Whisper had a truly wonderful, heartfelt story about romance and the struggle to create something, which, as a content creator, I can very much connect to. Whereas Cat Returns, on the other hand, is a fun adventure with a sweet message at the end. And both do what they set out to do very well. Both are great films, and they complement each other perfectly, even despite being very loosely connected. Again, like, Baron is pretty much the only thing that is congruent between Whisper and Cats, and yet it doesn't feel out of place, and it still feels like they connect together perfectly in one way or another. Which, it's really fascinating. While simultaneously being able to stand out on their own without one being lost in the shadows of the other. I can understand those who didn't care for it, especially since it is the follow-up to Spirited Away, which won Ghibli their first ever Academy Award. I understand that, but me personally, I really enjoyed it, and I can easily recommend it to you. It is almost perfect. Sorry, I had to throw in at least one more pun. Final verdict for Cat Returns is a high and well-deserved and exact same score that I gave to Whisper, 9 out of 10. Yes, that does mean that it is a half point under Castle in the Sky in terms of the adventure movies in Ghibli's catalog, but I don't care. It's still a really great film, and I had a great time watching it. It's a great movie for kids, it's a great movie for families, and it's just a lot of fun. And it ends on a really, really sweet note. I loved it just as much as Whisper, but for different reasons. Well, that's it. That is all I've got for Cat Returns. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. Feel free to let me know your thoughts and opinions on this movie down below if you have seen it before. And if you haven't seen it before, I hope that my review was able to convince you to see it, because I think it is one of those animated movies that is great for families, because it has something for everybody. Alright. That is it for this review. Thank you for watching, and next time... What we got next? Oh, we got that one. Okay. Join me next time when we join none other than one of the most famous Batmen to ever don the cowl, Christian Bale, and his voice performance of a certain other character. It's another one of those very highly praised Ghibli movies and one of my girlfriend's personal favorites. We'll see if I feel the same way. I'll see you guys next time for Howl's Moving Castle.